我想问一下男嘉宾，你
Can you believe it? The lady in pink before you, who calls herself a peerless beauty, is already 35 years old, and her requirements for a partner are nothing short of earth-shattering. For her, owning a house and a car is just the entry-level requirement. A monthly salary of less than 50,000 yuan, approximate 7,000 US dollars, isn't even worth her consideration. As for the bride price, she makes an exorbitant demand. Anything less than 1 million yuan, approximate 140,000 US dollars, doesn't even qualify for a discussion. You think that's all? Don't be naive. Behind this big sister are two younger brothers waiting to be fed. Wouldn't the future brother-in-law have to take care of them as well? In addition, the other half must proactively cover her parents' retirement expenses. After all, raising a little princess isn't easy. What's even more explosive is that since the sister is currently pregnant, working after marriage is absolutely out of the question. She sees this as giving the man a precious opportunity to willingly contribute. You ask what gives her the right? It's her self-proclaimed captivating beauty and the huge advantage of being unmarried at the ripe old age of 35. Because of this, when she learned that her blind date, while owning a house and a car, only had a 2-bedroom apartment instead of the grand villa of her dreams, her face fell instantly. She immediately stated that to marry her, the house must be at least 300 square meters. The lady then began to press the man on the issue of financial control. Regarding your income, do you think you'll hand it over to me for safekeeping? The man said he could consider it after marriage, but for now, he could only cover dating expenses. Although not quite satisfied, the lady reluctantly agreed and immediately asked about her allowance during the dating period. Then came the most ridiculous part. When the man confessed that his monthly income was only 10,000 yuan, approximate 1,400 US dollars, she kept raising the stakes, directly increasing her allowance demand to over 20,000 yuan, over 2,800 US dollars. Bro, your salary is 10,000 and she's asking for 20,000. Is she testing his math skills or his alchemy level? The man finally couldn't help but ask about her income, to which the lady delivered the line of the day. Of course, my income can be invested in myself, and stated bluntly that she would never spend a single penny on her partner. Let me translate for you all. As an awakened independent woman, your money is our money, and my money is always just my money. Hearing this, the man's CPU almost burned out, realizing he was unworthy of this goddess. He had no choice but to make a forced exit. In the end, treating marriage as a naked transaction is the fundamental reason she remains single to this day. Only by correcting her own attitude can she escape her current predicament.
大龄女生没什么好说的，
There's not much to say about older single women. I don't think they can get married. They really can't. So decisive. It's useless to say it. Truly useless. Their minds have already been brainwashed. They can't be washed clean. Anyone who could be washed clean is already married. Yes, for those who can't, no amount of washing will help. There's no hope, right? Let's take an example. She earns 300,000 a year, approximate 42,000 US dollars. And she wants to find someone who earns 500,000 a year, approximate 70,000 US dollars, right? And on top of that, he has to be decent looking. Well, why would a guy who earns 500,000 a year look for a 38-year-old instead of a 28-year-old? Wouldn't you say that's the logic, right? People always make comparisons. The better a man's conditions are, the more certain it is that he'll look for someone young and beautiful, right? First is the fertility value. Second is the emotional value, right? Isn't what you're saying too cruel to them? I'm telling the absolute truth from a man's perspective. And I'm a man myself. To be honest, I would definitely prefer a 28-year-old or an 18-year-old, right? A 38-year-old, you say, Sai, really, I can't stand it. If I say more, I'll get flamed to death. Everyone should just lower their expectations, right? Find someone to live with, live a simple and plain life. Whether you have kids or not, just lower your expectations. And then, if you really want to get married, men should lower their standards for a woman's appearance a bit. And for the women, the girls should have a better personality and slightly lower their financial expectations for men. Just a little bit, not a lot. And then everything would be fine. Everyone takes a step back, right? I think that would work. Then why don't you apply this theory to yourself? Can't find anyone, really can't. I truly can't find anyone. You mean to say that the women nowadays are too difficult? Even a Hangzhou local like you can't handle them? It's not impossible to find someone, but it's very difficult to find someone at Wansong Academy, the matchmaking spot.
And before we continue, let us know in the comments where you're watching this video from. Connecting with viewers from all around the world is a huge inspiration for us. Thank you so much.
我们这个社会最害怕的就是男性开始觉醒。
What our society fears most is the awakening of men. After years of being a relationship blogger and having countless videos taken down, I've come to a profound realization. The awakening of men truly threatens the interests of too many vested parties. What they hope for most is for men to continue living in a muddle as they did before, making marriage and fatherhood their sole purpose in life, proactively shouldering the heavy burdens of bride prices, buying cars and houses, and being a provider who toils without complaint, slaving away for the family like a workhorse, all while having to cheerfully console themselves with "this is a man's responsibility." Only in this way can the vested interests comfortably leech off of men. For society, a man tied down by family has weaknesses that can be exploited. For corporations, a man burdened with the pressure of supporting a family won't dare to resign easily, making him a top-tier workhorse. For some women, men are their safety net, allowing them to satisfy their consumer desires through transfer payments. But if men start living for themselves, no longer fixated on marriage and children, and spend their money and energy on themselves, then who will buy the houses? Who will pay for luxury goods? Where will the female consumer market that relies on male providers go? Without the constraints of a family, how can men be made to willingly work like beasts of burden? Therefore, men must be suppressed, and the methods of suppression are constantly evolving. It used to be about instilling ideas like, not spending money means you don't love her, and men should bear more responsibility, making men willingly become providers. Now, it's about sensationalizing the plight of women. It seems like advocating for women, but it's actually about making men buy indulgences, using money and effort to compensate for a so-called gender debt. The core goal is still to make men pay up. Too many men are suppressed to the point of losing themselves, only knowing how to bury their heads in work, not bothering to dress up or enrich their inner worlds. If you suggest traveling to him, he'll say men don't like to travel. You see, they proactively castrate their own desires, assuming they need nothing, even with hundreds of thousands or even millions of yuan in their pockets. When facing women who are less well off than they are, they will naturally feel inferior, carefully coaxing and pleading, terrified of upsetting the other person, and will even willingly hand over their hard-earned money. How tragic is that? That's why I've always emphasized that men must learn to love themselves, and the most direct expression of this is being willing to spend money on themselves. When you are willing to invest in yourself, you become valuable. You will prioritize your own feelings and needs. At that point, no one can criticize you. You will no longer be held hostage by the so-called male responsibility, and you will live with increasing confidence. Only then can you handle relationships with ease and grace.
为什么现在就是经济越下行？
Why is it that the more the economy declines, the stronger the desire for women to find a partner becomes, while men are less willing to look for one? Have you noticed? When faced with the same situation of not being able to make money, men have two mindsets. One is, oh, I'm just going to lie flat, give up. I won't buy a house or car anymore. I can't afford them anyway. I'll just live happily one day at a time. The other is, I need to work harder. I have to think about how to break through my own limitations. But women are different. Between finding a partner and making money, many women will choose to make money from a partner because they feel it's the most effective shortcut. So, aren't there men who say they want to find a rich woman? Yes, there are, but 80% of them are just talking. If you actually gave one a rich woman, the type who isn't very attractive but drives a Rolls-Royce, he wouldn't be able to stomach being a kept man. But women are different. Women feel that the rich, domineering CEO should fall in love with me. This is why many pig-butchering scams, romance scams, tend to target women more often.
你看啊，为什么说这个同样是大龄？
Do you see why, when they are of the same advanced age, men aren't anxious, but women are? There's a key point here. and it's a woman's standards for a partner. A woman's standards don't factor in her own age. It's not that women don't depreciate with age, but rather that many men don't mind a woman's age. When a girl is faced with a guy she's very interested in and really likes, what will she do? She'll try every possible way to lead him on, to hint that he should be the one to ask her out, that she will create an opportunity for him to ask her out and get close to her. Where does this logic come from? It's because for any girl, regardless of her height or weight, as long as she posts a photo online that's been edited so much that even her own mother wouldn't recognize her, countless guys will start chatting with her. Therefore, she starts to feel like she's an extremely popular girl. For instance, even a tank, a very large woman, will always feel that whenever she goes out, there are always guys looking at her with improper intentions. But what's the reality? The reality is that people are just looking for amusement. They have no improper intentions whatsoever. But she will perceive it as improper. Why? Because even if she's a tank when she posts a heavily edited photo online, the feedback she receives is all positive and welcoming. So, she thinks every guy should be fawning over her. I'm even showing interest in you. I've already given you hints, so if you don't chase after me, you're just being ungrateful. But thoughts are just thoughts. The virtual sense of vanity brought by the internet cannot withstand the scrutiny of reality. Moreover, for this type of woman, the older she gets, the less attractive she becomes, but she remains completely unaware of this fact. Consequently, they don't think it's because their own conditions are poor. They just feel that the men in the real world don't understand them. That's why they become more and more anxious. And the source of this anxiety is the stark contrast between the real world and the online world.
我91年的34岁
I was born in 91, so I'm 34 years old and unmarried, with no partner at the moment. Recently, many of my friends have been advising me to make finding a partner my top priority and to put work and other things aside for now. But they don't understand my current situation. I mean, who would want a 34-year-old leftover woman who is still single? Besides, at my age, almost everyone in my peer group is already married. I'm not quite willing to settle for someone older, yet I can't bring myself to date someone younger. I'm just stuck in this position, making it very difficult to find someone. On top of that, I'm quite a homebody. My daily routine is just a straight line between work and home, and I don't even go out on weekends. How could I possibly have any opportunities to meet men? The new year is just around the corner, and it looks like I'll be spending it single again. I'm getting older every year. It's really worrying.
家里条件比较好的女生，独生女能不能自己一个人生孩子？
Can a girl from a relatively well-off family, an only daughter, have a child on her own? I've actually had many female clients come to me to consult on this issue, and to be honest, my answer is no 8 or 9 times out of 10. Why do I say this? A couple of days ago, I met a young lady born in 2000. Her parents are leaders within the system, government or state-owned enterprises. In a first-tier city, high-ranking officials in a state-owned enterprise. Anyway, her family's total assets amount to tens of millions of yuan. However, this girl is only 25 this year, and you see, at 25 she's already starting to worry. Why? It's because her parents have introduced her to men of a similar social and economic standing. But what are these well-matched men looking for? Pretty girls. That's right, for men from good families, the first thing they look at is appearance. Looks are the threshold for marrying into a good family. This girl isn't ugly, just average. Maybe a little chubby, doesn't pay much attention to her clothes or makeup, and she hasn't really dated before. But now, with the internet, she's seen a lot of talk about not marrying or having kids, having children alone, single motherhood, or keeping the child and ditching the father. She said, "Xiaomin, honestly, I've been on so many dates with these well-matched guys, and I've found that they're just not interested in me." I said, "That can't be. There must be some, because her educational background is quite good. She basically has a respectable job and a good degree." Then she said, "But I'm not interested in the worthless ones. You know, the idiot son of a rich family type who is her equal in status but lacks ability. She looks down on them, while the capable ones are looking for pretty girls not necessarily from wealthy families. It's the classic, the one I like doesn't like me situation. That's how it is. Xiaomin, what kind of person do you think I should look for?" I said, "That's simple. Just lower your standards regarding family background. Find someone like a small-town exam whiz, with good genes who also graduated from a top 985 university and earns a lot. Many men like that are quite eager to find an only daughter from a first-tier city, she said. But I'm afraid of being taken advantage of financially, being a Jew who. I replied. The new marriage law has changed. How can he take advantage of you? Your premarital assets are your own. Taking a step back, if this man is not good to you after you're married and have a child, you can just kick him out. Then you'll have your own child, right? That's one solution, she said. But what if he fights me for custody? I said, Sister, I totally understand your idea of wanting to have a child on your own, thinking you can go abroad, find someone, and have a mixed-race child or find a sperm donor. I want to tell everyone watching, be realistic. Many of the mixed-race children you see online are the good-looking ones. You have no idea what their fathers look like or what kind of child you might get. You haven't seen the unattractive mixed-race children. Also, foreign children all look like cute dolls when they're little, but many of them grow up to be less attractive. There are beautiful women and ugly women, handsome men and ugly men abroad, just like anywhere else. What makes you think you're guaranteed to have a beautiful mixed-race child? Your own looks are average. What if you mix with an unattractive foreign stock and have a child who looks neither here nor there? When people ask you where the child came from, if you had a child with a Chinese person, at least you're of the same race. At worst, you get a divorce. But if you have a child who looks ambiguous and send them to school. Honestly, if you're a blogger who needs online traffic, if your child needs traffic, if you make a living off that, then go ahead and have a mixed-race child. But let's be real, most people are just ordinary people. Single motherhood itself is not a particularly glorious thing. While it's not shameful, it's not something to be proud of. And then people will ask, who's the father? What's your husband like? How will you explain? To put it bluntly, in the future, people will call your child a bastard. It doesn't matter if the father is Chinese or not. As long as you have a child out of wedlock, people will call your child a bastard and say you were a mistress. You won't be able to deny it. You can't prove your innocence, you understand? That's the hardest part, the pressure of public opinion. As ordinary people, we're not influencers chasing traffic. You don't need that kind of attention. It will hurt you, hurt your child, and hurt your parents. This is why I advise against single motherhood. Again, especially for girls like you with a good family background who are wealthy but have average looks. When you look for a man, just focus on whether he's good to you. Whether he's with you for your money or for you as a person doesn't really matter, because a gentleman is judged by his actions, not his intentions. See how he treats you, right? If he's a man with a high income, the truth is many girls, despite their good family background, don't earn that much themselves. If you marry a man who is handsome, well-educated, and has a high income, whether he's a Phoenix man or a small-town exam whiz, you're not losing out by marrying him. First, he has excellent genes. Second, he creates more marital assets, he earns more than you do. He would have no reason to divorce you unless you do something outrageous or are incredibly arrogant in the marriage. Even if your parents are minor officials, if the man isn't in politics or civil service, your family's resources can't really help him. He has nothing to gain from you. Maybe he just wants an easier, more comfortable life, to find a good mother for his children, and to give his future kids a better starting point. I don't see a big problem with that. Your premarital assets will always be yours. But many people think, oh, I can't be at a disadvantage. I can't marry someone from a poorer family. You look down on the idiot son of a rich family, and the man who is perfect in every way looks down on you. Then you get picky about the small-town exam whiz. Frankly, this is a classic victim mentality, always thinking about taking from others. You think, oh, I'm losing out, his family can't provide any assets, I can't find an equal match, I'd be failing my child. How are you failing your child? You need to find a father with good genes, right? Your family's assets will belong to your child in the future, no matter who you marry. Many women have this idea that marrying a man from a poorer family means they're losing out. That's not how it works. What's yours is always yours. If you have a child on your own, that child won't even have a father. To be blunt, if the child gets sick or something happens, you won't even be able to find the biological father. So I'm telling you, for many girls with average looks but good family backgrounds, finding a small-town exam whiz is not a bad thing. finding a handsome man with good genes from an ordinary, harmonious family. While 1 plus 1 may not equal 2, it can be 1.5. It's ultimately much better than raising a child alone and facing all that societal pressure. The man in front of you can earn money and contribute. If you don't want to deal with mother-in-law issues, you can have your own parents help. Or if your family is rich, you can hire a nanny. You're always thinking, if I can't gain an advantage, I'm losing out. That's not it. Isn't a man's high income an advantage for you? Isn't a man looking up to you with admiration an advantage? Emotional value is also a form of value. To put it bluntly, many only daughters in first-tier cities with average looks and good families are nothing without their parents. You just got lucky with the birth lottery. So since your parents have given you this advantage, you should use it well. As I said, as long as the man is willing to live a stable life with you and be responsible for the child, don't keep thinking his family isn't as rich as mine, I'm losing out. That's a weakling's mentality. I hope many girls can wake up early, and while you're still young, find a man with good genes who is relatively responsible and comes from a harmonious family to have children with. Again, if you can make it work, stay together. If you can't, at worst you get a divorce, right? At least you'll have a child with good genes. Isn't that so much better than being a single mother? So I hope that the many girls who are considering single motherhood will think hard. Can you really handle the subsequent pressure from public opinion? Most of the time the answer is no, you can't. So stop fantasizing and stick to the normal path of marriage and relationships.
How realistic is the matchmaking market? Pan Tianhong, a blogger with 14 million followers and a film and television tycoon from the channel Solving Worries for Mother, went to the matchmaking corner at Wansong Academy in Hangzhou and was looked down upon. His personal information was written on an A4 sheet of paper, which he took to the matchmaking event. It clearly stated, junior high school education, father works in the express delivery industry, and mother is a homemaker. He himself works in the film and television industry. But what exactly is his work in this industry? He is actually a streamer with 14 million fans, and his photography company, of which he is the CEO, has an annual turnover of over 100 million yuan, over 14 million US dollars. However, when the elderly aunts and uncles there saw that he had a junior high education and was divorced, combined with his father's express delivery job, they didn't even bother to find out if express delivery meant he was the boss or just a regular courier. In reality, his father is the boss of YTO Express. How realistic can the matchmaking market be? Seeing film and television-related industry, they probably thought he just made some videos or something, when in fact he founded a film company with an annual turnover of over 100 million. The matchmaking market is just that realistic. They look at your listed conditions and basically reject you on the spot. He's actually quite handsome, but the matchmaking market doesn't care about looks. You see, it was clearly written, good character, sound values, a positive person who likes to play chess. None of that matters. Those aunts and uncles see your conditions, express delivery industry, father in express delivery. Oh, you work in film? Oh, junior high graduate, and that education level alone is enough to get you rejected. I, Tong Long, have been on 2 blind dates in my entire life. It's really just a few minutes of meeting, then nope, and they're gone. Just like that, they won't even bother talking to you. The matchmaking market is too realistic. This handsome film tycoon looks quite bright and handsome, and I feel he speaks in a very gentle and refined manner. The so-called junior high graduate actually means he graduated from junior high in China and then went abroad to study. Ha ha ha! In the matchmaking market, no one sees these things. With such poor basic information, such a poor situation, no one will bother to understand who you really are behind it all. This is the reality. So, after my 2 blind dates, seeing their indifferent attitude, you send a message in the morning to get their contact, they reply at night. You send one at night, they reply on the 3rd day. Those women act so high and mighty and uninterested. I find it really arrogant. Once you've been to the matchmaking market a few times, you'll never want to go again in your life. People with average conditions, average bodies, and average looks, especially men, should never go to the matchmaking market. It's simply asking for humiliation. The guy has 14 million fans. Let's not even talk about whether he's an influencer or the CEO of a film company, or that he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Let's not mention that his junior high education was followed by studying at a university abroad. None of that matters. Just looking at him, he's a bright and handsome person, seems to have a good character, speaks gently and elegantly. You can tell he's a man of quality, but no one cares about that. They only look at the conditions. The matchmaking market feels like a transaction, like doing business. They're not there to find a partner. They're there to make a deal. This young man is so handsome, so positive, speaks so calmly and gently, is well-mannered, and on top of that seems to have a good character in every aspect. A very bright young man, but he was looked down upon for pretending to be weak. So, honestly, I've made many videos about this. If your personal conditions are particularly poor, you have average looks, and your parents are also average, just don't go matchmaking. It's humiliating. I went on 2 dates. The third time, my dad called 4 big brothers, 2 aunts, and 6 matchmakers to come downstairs to my rented apartment. I was renting then, and I still don't have a house, which is why I don't go matchmaking anymore. When they came downstairs, I told the matchmakers I didn't have a house and only had 600 yuan, about $84 US, in my account. I had just failed in a business venture, and both my shops had closed down. The matchmaker said, "With conditions like yours, what are you even thinking about a relationship for? We're not registering you," and left immediately. I've been through it twice. The first time was when I was 25. After exchanging contact information, she wouldn't agree to meet up no matter what. She wouldn't reply to messages either. She was very busy. In this day and age, you don't have time to reply to a message? An era where people have their phones on them 24/7. The second blind date, my dad wasted 4 or 500 yuan, about 56 to 70 US, on appearance fees and travel expenses, just for a 5-minute meeting. I said my situation wasn't great and my shop was about to close. The girl sat in my restaurant for 5 minutes and then left, and she even asked my dad to pay for her appearance fee. They're all scammers. I'll say it again, I've said this no less than 20 times. If your family conditions are average, your looks are average, your education is average, your parents are average, and your job is average, don't go to the matchmaking market to humiliate yourself. The more you go on blind dates, the more insecure you'll become. The more you do it, the more you'll feel you're not good enough for them. And the more you'll feel you'll never get out of being single. Wise up, everyone. A single spark can start a prairie fire.
Brothers, here are a few poisonous duck soups to counter the poisonous chicken soup. Toxic advice often given to women. You don't have to drink it, but it's good to have it ready. First, if she says, "You'd have to buy a car, a house, and give a bride price no matter who you marry, so don't say it's for me." You can say, "You'd have to get old, become less attractive, and have children no matter who you marry, so don't you say it's for me either." Second, if she says, "A man who spends money on you doesn't necessarily love you, but a man who doesn't spend money on you definitely doesn't love you." You can say, "A woman who has children for you doesn't necessarily love you, but a woman who won't have children for you definitely doesn't love you." Third, if she says, "I don't want your money, I just want your attitude." You can say, "I don't want your body, I just want my rights." Fourth, if she says, "Only men with no money say that women are materialistic." You can say, "Only unattractive women say that men are lecherous." Fifth, if she says, "I'll be responsible for being beautiful as a flower, and you'll be responsible for earning money to support the family." You can say, "You be responsible for cooking and raising the kids, and I'll be responsible for being carefree and dapper." Brothers, the duck soup may be tasty, but don't get too carried away.
To put it bluntly, in the future, it will be women begging men to marry them. Men's desire to marry has already fallen off a cliff compared to women's. Whether you women want to believe it or not, this is the situation now, and for the future. With this video today, I mainly want to wake up a lot of women. Just look at the marriage market in Zhengzhou this year. Forget Zhengzhou, look anywhere else. It's completely a woman's world now. The feminist movement went too far in the past, and now men have woken up. You should hurry up and wake up too. If you think about it, it becomes clear. What do men really get out of marriage? For thousands of years, men married for 4 basic needs: to have someone take care of their daily life, to have children, to satisfy their physiological needs, and to have an intimate partner to confide in. But now, These things are no longer achievable only through marriage. Let's start with daily needs. For food, there's takeout, canteens, and restaurants. You don't have to cook yourself. For laundry, there are washing machines and dry cleaners. You don't have to scrub by hand. If the house is dirty or messy, you can just hire a cleaner. Honestly, as a girl who isn't very good at housework, I can manage my life just fine with these services, so naturally, men don't need to rely on marriage to find someone to cook and clean. Next, let's look at psychological needs. There are so many ways to find happiness and people to talk to now. Watching short dramas, watching live streams, playing games, or just finding a netizen online to chat with, share daily life, or even discuss hobbies. You can find a connection that provides more emotional value than many women in real life. Sometimes, an online friend understands your interests better, and the companionship in reality isn't necessarily more comfortable than this. Then there's the need for children. In the past, men married and had children for the continuation of the family line and bloodline. But things are different now. The concept of the clan has gradually faded. There's no longer a need to procreate for the rise and fall of the family. More and more men have figured out their own comfort is the most important thing. There's no need to force themselves into marriage and parenthood just to carry on the family name. Lastly, there are physiological needs. In the conservative past, this could perhaps only be fulfilled through marriage. But now, attitudes are much more open, and it can be achieved during the dating phase. Besides, many people are busy with the 996 work culture, facing high work pressure, and their energy is mostly drained. The demand for this aspect of life isn't as strong, so they naturally won't get married specifically for it. All four of these major needs no longer require marriage to be solved, yet the costs of getting married haven't decreased at all. Economically, men have to prepare a bride price and buy a house. After marriage, they have to support the family and raise children, and also consider the expenses of both families. If you're unlucky enough to marry someone who is already in debt, you might spend your whole life paying it off, essentially turning yourself into a money-making machine. The other day, I told my son, I have to earn money to prepare a bride price for you. And what did my son say? He said, just give me the bride price money. I'll set up a gaming room. I'm not getting married. So you see, this is the awakening of men today. On the other hand, why are women more eager to marry? If there's no money involved in the marriage, see if she'll marry you. There are also women who don't earn money, and after getting married, someone will support them. A man won't abandon a woman for having no money, but if a man has no money, it's hard to say what the woman will do. Ultimately, for ordinary people, both men and women, life is not easy. Everyone is struggling to make a living. We should all be considerate of each other and try to see each other's difficulties, instead of creating a conflict between genders and wearing each other down. Marriage has always been a matter of mutual consent. Whether you get married or not, the core principle is to make yourself comfortable. That's what's most important.
相亲对象见了我一面之后，就给我莫名其妙的
After meeting me once, my blind date inexplicably sent me a half-naked photo of himself. Auntie Chine, a friend of an elder in my family, knew I was single and wanted to play matchmaker, introducing her friend's son to me. She gave us each other's WeChat. The night before last, I finished work around 11:30 p.m. and accepted his friend request then. As soon as he added me, he asked me to go out. I thought it might not be a good idea to meet in the dark so soon, so I politely declined. But starting from yesterday morning when I opened my eyes, he kept asking me out and sending the same emoji. I thought it was a bit strange at the time, but then I thought, since Annie Chine mentioned he studied abroad, maybe his mindset is more open, or it could just be a personal habit with emojis. I tried to convince myself of that. By yesterday afternoon, he asked me to go to some New Year's painting exhibition. I said I was really busy and had no time, so he brought up Annie Chine to pressure me. I figured it would be rude not to meet him, so I thought I should at least meet him to see if we were compatible. I suggested we could have dinner nearby after I finished work. He said he's been working out recently and can't eat dinner, and then he said the first thing that left me utterly speechless. He told me he would allow me to touch his abs. I just sent back a question mark. He said he was joking. I thought to myself, I'm overthinking this. So he asked me to pick a place. I chose Gaga, which serves light meals, thinking it would be suitable for someone who works out. Okay, after we arrived, he began his self-absorbed performance. Didn't he say he doesn't eat dinner? But as I was ordering, I heard his stomach rumble. I thought, is he hungry? So I said, why don't you order something too? He replied, having dinner with a beautiful lady has made me break my rule. Okay, then I used my phone to scan the QR code to order. You know how when you scan together, you can see what the other person is ordering, right? Okay, this is the second key point. The first was the touch my abs comment. Now for the second. After he ordered a vegetable juice and some pasta, he suddenly exclaimed, oh my God, oh Jesus, holy shit. He started spouting English, which startled me. I thought he was having a sudden fit or something. I asked him what was wrong. He showed me his phone. The screen was black. He said, Ting. Sorry, my phone died and I didn't bring a charger. I said, oh, thinking it was no big deal. Then he suddenly started patting himself all over. I had no idea what he was doing. It really freaked me out. He said he didn't bring his wallet either. Okay, I immediately understood what he meant. I said, it's okay. You've already ordered, right? I'll pay for everything after I'm done ordering. He said, how could I? How can I let a lady pay when we're out? I just kept saying it was fine. Then he reached across the table to touch. To press my hand. In case you think I'm overthinking, I just feel it's best not to have physical contact with someone you're meeting for the first time, so I pulled my hand away. After I did, he went, Ting. I really wanted to laugh. I said, it's fine, it's just a meal. And I paid. After I paid, he started to act in what he thought was a nonchalant and sophisticated way to show off his tolerance and vast knowledge. For example, when he asked about my school, he said, so, beautiful, which university did you graduate from? I told him I have a bachelor's from Chengdu University of Technology. I said, I heard from Annie Cheen that you studied abroad. He said he went to a certain university in the UK. Then he suddenly went, a certain university in the UK, haha. He just laughed like that in a seemingly nonchalant way. Okay, after that, this guy started to prop his hands on the table like this, and just stared at me like this. I felt this strange gaze on me while I was eating. I ignored him. You might be asking why I didn't just leave. Because I paid for the meal, I was going to finish it. Okay, as we were talking, the vegetable juice arrived. He suddenly picked up his glass and recited a poem. Let not the empty cup face the moon in vain. Today with the beauty's company, this trip is not in vain. Cheers. At that moment, I thought, first, isn't the line, let not the golden cup face the moon in vain? Second, I just told him, I prefer to drink with a straw, and said, you can go ahead. Then I just sipped my drink, ate my food, and ignored him. After we finished eating, I thought, okay, we are really not compatible. Up to this point, I just felt he wasn't a good match. The reason I'm recording this video is to complain about something very bizarre that happened afterwards. Here comes the third key point. After I got home, he asked me to go to the movies with him today, saying his company gave him 2 tickets. I had to make things clear. I said, hey, after meeting you, I think you're a great guy, but I don't think we're a good match. I wish you the best in finding your other half soon. In response, he sent me a half-naked photo of himself. He posed with his eyes slightly closed and the corners of his mouth turned up, with the caption, "Are you willing now?" I was truly, oh my God. Did I reply? Well, the guy then told me that he actually didn't think we were a good match from the beginning. That's what he sent. When I replied with, "Are you okay?" he blocked me. So now, you know why I'm recording this video, right? Seriously, are you willing now? Have a great weekend, everyone.
我就想知道有一些
I just want to know about some of the boring people in the comments section. Why is it that no matter what someone posts, you can always drag it into finding a boyfriend, finding a man, getting married, and all that? Do you have nothing else on your minds? Or do you just find me annoying? Or do you leave these kinds of comments for any woman who is unmarried and of a certain age? Is it your problem or my problem? These kinds of boring and disgusting comments, are you just too idle? With all that time, couldn't you be running food deliveries, working as a courier? Or doing some part-time work to earn more money for your wife and kids? Or is it that you're unmarried and can't find a partner, so you hate women like us who don't get married? Or are you married but have a bad relationship with your wife? If your marriage is unhappy, why do you keep advising me to get married? What kind of people are you all? I'm trying to find a word to describe it, but I really can't. It's just so boring. However, there are also many people who genuinely care about me, saying, "You really should find a partner." Yes, I know. But there are also many disgusting comments, the kind that come from a place of malice. I really think you all have too much time on your hands. If it's me as a person that disgusts you, that you hate, that makes you feel you have to curse me out, you can block me. You can choose not to see my videos. There's no need to come to my comments section just to disgust me. If it's not because of me, if you feel the need to curse out every older, unmarried woman, then maybe you should adjust your own mindset, okay? And if your own family life is unhappy, then don't push others to get married. Knowing marriage isn't good and then still advising others to do it isn't very appropriate, is it? Be happier, be more cheerful. When you're cursing me out, how much anger must you feel inside? Can you really be happy when you're cursing at others? Right? It's only when you praise others that you can be truly happy from the bottom of your heart.
Dear friends of the Chinese Emotion channel, through the stories we've just witnessed, perhaps each of us sees a part of ourselves and the society we live in. It's a multifaceted picture of love and marriage in the modern era, where the pressures of economy, societal expectations, and the divergence in mindset between genders are creating invisible divides. We've seen men who feel exhausted by the burden of being the provider and are gradually awakening to live for themselves. We've also listened to the concerns of women, especially as they pass a certain age, facing judgment, the pressure to find a safe harbor, and sometimes unrealistic standards shaped by the virtual world. The matchmaking market, instead of being a place for connection, seems to have turned into a cold marketplace where people are valued by the numbers of their assets and education. So, what is the ultimate lesson here? Is it an endless battle between men and women? I believe not. The way out isn't through criticism or confrontation, but through the inward journey of each individual. Your true worth is not determined by whether you are married, how much you earn, or whether you fit someone else's standards. It lies in self-investment, self-love, and self-improvement. When a man finds joy and purpose beyond the role of a financial pillar, he becomes more confident and attractive. When a woman builds a fulfilling life, finding security from her own abilities and inner world, she will no longer see marriage as an insurance policy. True love isn't about two broken halves coming together to become whole, but about two whole individuals choosing to walk the path together. Instead of endlessly searching for the perfect other half, strive to become the best version of yourself. When you do that, you won't have to search. You will attract the right people into your life. Thank you for listening. Please share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the Chinese Emotion channel as we continue to explore more emotional stories together.